Hi, my name is Daniel Scott, and today, in this short video, I'll tell you a life-changing story about how I figured out how to easily generate insane amounts of energy for the past 2 years. I'm talking about a simple device that can be used by any family around the world and can even change the course of the entire energy industry. Over the past year, over 100,000 people have also already successfully used a very simple technique to get over tragic milestones such as hurricanes, snowstorms, or floods. Based on technology a lot of people use on a daily basis, not only can it generate enough power to help you through long, harsh winters when temperatures outside go below zero, but it can ameliorate your power bill all year long. I'm sure you're already intrigued and you want to know all about how this system works. Honestly, it's like nothing you've ever seen, and in a few minutes from now, you'll be outraged you ever paid a single cent to Big Electric. So you absolutely need to watch this short presentation today, while it's still up. I don't know how much longer I'll have this free presentation online, so watch this right now while you still can. Before we continue, let me tell you who I am and how it all started. As I mentioned before, my name is Daniel Scott. I'm a 52-year-old math teacher in Vineland, New Jersey. Folks who live here know that high energy bills are somewhat of an issue, and we have been fighting them for years. And we've never liked paying through our noses for simple things that everybody should afford, like using electric appliances without restrictions. However, we simply settled thinking, that's the economy, or maybe it'll be better next year, month after month, struggling not to fall behind on our bills. All that until the winter of 2017, December 29th, Tuesday, the absolute worst day of my life. The news warned the population about rising of the freezing waters of the Maurice River, but we never had problems. We were miles from the river and we were safe. But this time it was different. Around 7 p.m., news warned everyone in the area the river had risen like never before. After a few minutes, all the lights went off. I immediately thought it was a blackout. I went to check on my wife and 2 daughters. They were fine for the moment. The Maurice River had broken out of its bed and flooded the surroundings. It ripped down hundreds of power lines around the area, and we suddenly found ourselves without power. My wife and I discussed driving to my parents in Lexington, Kentucky, but we were looking at a 10-hour drive in the night. We decided to wait for the power to come back. Big mistake. The house was getting cold, and it was getting cold fast. Night came, still no power. I tried calling the electric company on my cell phone to find out when power would be restored, but all I got was a pre-recorded message saying that they were aware of the problem and that it would be between 48 and 72 hours before the power would be back online. Quickly, the temperature in our house reached around 40 degrees. Around midnight, I went to check on my family, and what I saw made me freeze in my tracks. My wife and daughters were lying on the bed, embracing each other, shivering and cold, muffled in thick blankets. You can't imagine how I felt not being able to protect my family. I rushed and wrapped my arms around them as I could in a futile attempt to give them what little body heat I had. And then my 5-year-old Lisa said in a shivering voice, "Daddy, I'm cold and I'm hungry. I wish we had a warm soup." I immediately burst into tears. It was the most devastating moment of my life. I felt like my world collapsed. I felt powerless because there was nothing I could do to protect the ones I cared for most, and I simply felt furious. Outraged about the fact that I knew I was the only one to blame for getting in this situation, and worse, for getting my family in this dangerous situation. I was furious that I was completely dependent on the electric company to power my home, and furious about the fact that for so many years I let it slide and thought, maybe it'll be better next year, while those money-sucking electricity mobsters led me and my family dry. It was the moment I realized I was at the end of my rope. I swore to myself I'd never put my wife and 2 daughters in a similar situation again. We left for my parents the very next day and came back after some time. I immediately began researching every single energy alternative I could find. I made it my sole purpose, because leaving my family's well-being in the hands of electric companies clearly wasn't an option anymore. Not only did their power lines always seem to go down in unexpected moments, but their prices had been smothering me for more than a decade. I imagine the CEOs going to the bank and cashing out my hard-earned money, maybe even laughing while doing it. So I immediately began to look at the problem from every angle to break the chains Big Electric had around my family. There had to be something. Frustrated, I created a list of what I felt my new source of energy should be. Cheap and easy to obtain or build. Easy to move. If I needed to bug out of town, it needed to be something I can easily carry with me. Can use a constant source of power to create energy. If there was no gas or wind, it should still work fine without interruption. So I considered buying a heavy-duty generator. It's certainly a reliable source of power, so I looked pretty much into this option. However, when I started to consider the costs, I realized I was looking at a minimum $1,000 investment to get a really high-quality generator, not to mention the fuel usage. And with fluctuating gas prices, try powering your home with a full-time generator. You need to use about 90 gallons of gas per month, and at a cost of around $250 or more to do it. Plus, it's not like I wanted to have a 90-gallon bomb around my family and house. So this option was off the list. Next, I considered using solar energy. I've heard the solar industry boomed over the last years, and solar panels can be really effective. And maybe you've heard here in Vineland, New Jersey, it can be sunny for very long periods of time, and using solar panels really is an option. But when looking more into this, the first thing anyone should think of is if their rooftops can withstand the weight of the panels. And having a relatively old house built in the 1950s, renovating the rooftop to install them was too complicated altogether for me. Not to mention that installing professional panels would have cost me an easy $20,000, and I certainly didn't have the money to invest. The idea to buy a DIY wind generation kit crossed my mind, but when I saw the costs, I changed my mind. Plus, I did some research on the subject and found out that wind generators, or windmills as some people call them, need perfect wind channels, height, and weather to be efficient. So I had only one option. If I wanted to make sure my family never goes through such an experience again, I had to create my own solution. It had to be something cheap and fast and easy to build, because I definitely didn't have any technical skills to build complicated devices. Being a teacher doesn't really offer those kinds of skills. So I started looking into every other solution that could bring me the security for my family. Many sleepless nights passed, and I was getting tired of surfing the internet for a simple solution. Yet one day, Kate, my wife, reminded me about my late Uncle Jack and his research in the energy field. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2004. He worked for an electric car company as a pioneer in his field. His life goal was to save the planet and offer our children a better life. As a professional researcher in this domain, he had the resources he needed to do it. And setting his goal to help humankind, as he said, he dedicated his life to discovering new technology. And he did thorough research. I remember him telling me how a good battery bank is a steady and reliable source of backup electricity and could also ameliorate electric bills. And maybe that sounds a bit strange, but there are some companies who are looking into making this technology available as we speak. However, that wasn't the solution for his electric cars. And clearly, it wasn't for me either. The investment was too big, and I certainly wasn't going to take care of who knows how many battery cells all year round. Not to mention the cost of actually walling one in. So while this option was off the table, I knew he was the only one that could help me with my problem. I remembered him telling me the main problem for battery banks was the charging system. And also how he struggled with different methods to improve that, but eventually his 45 years of experience led him to only one conclusion. The only solution for the average user was solar. But the standard setup was just not enough, starting from the brilliant design that grows the waves input by converging them. Jack had the idea to focus the sun waves in one spot to increase the overall power output. He then thought of a system to reach his goal, and the most efficient one was using the principle of the satellite dish. That way, he would capture the waves more efficiently, not to mention the space he was saving by rearranging the solar panels at a converging angle. When he presented his idea to his colleagues, everybody, including the top engineers of the time, were shocked to see how easy the working principle really was. That very moment, I realized that the answer I've been searching for so long had been right in front of me all along. You're probably thinking that there's no way such a common thing like a solar panel could hold the key to energy independence and self-sustenance. But the initial tests have been pretty promising. Let me explain the working principle as I later discovered it. As you probably already know, solar panels capture the solar rays and transfer them into electricity. But not all panels use the full capacity of that powerful energy. The real secret lies in taking advantage of their full potential, and my uncle discovered the ingenious method to redirect the rays in such a way that it can turbocharge the whole system. Moreover, this brilliant idea takes up such little space, it can be installed almost anywhere. Without a wasted second, I took some time off and told my wife and daughters I was going to visit their aunt. I kissed them goodbye and swore myself I wouldn't come back without a solution. I went to Elm City, North Carolina, and talked with Amy, my late uncle's wife. She let me in on my uncle's old study, and after many hours of going through dozens of projects, I found what I was looking for. I skimmed them over and I realized that they held the key to take control energy-wise. But what I didn't know exactly was how to capture this unique energy and how to build the device to meet my needs. I struggled to understand the plans for about a week when Amy suggested calling Jason Newman, my uncle's best friend who had worked with him. She told me he was one of the best engineers at the lab. I called and told him my story and asked if he could help me decipher the plans my uncle left. Being an enthusiast in the field, he agreed. However, I insisted to set some basic rules. The device had to be incredibly cheap to build. I was already over my budget with the research, the trip, and everything. It had to be very easy to build so that I could explain it to my wife and kids to build if, God forbid, something were to happen to me. So we started working on the project together. As a guy who studied energy sources with my uncle, Jason had a pretty good idea of the science behind how to get the most energy with this principle, and the plans clearly showed that. The first models we made were either too expensive or too complicated for me to build. We had some heated arguments, mainly because of me being stubborn. I needed the device to be cheap and simple. In the end, after several attempts, we finally came up with a prototype that seemed to be what we were looking for. The design was brilliant, and combined, these materials cost us around $200. However, I'm sure we could have found the parts at a junkyard for free if we weren't in a rush. But the most important part is that it was incredibly safe. No fire, no dangerous fumes released, so we had zero worry about creating a dangerous explosive reaction. You simply had to place the components in the correct position. And because of the ingenious way the device was designed, it generated an extraordinary amount of energy, which was then captured and converted into usable electricity. Even more, the system was actually incredibly easy to hook up to any device, even if you're terrible at building stuff and have trouble plugging in a DVD player to your TV. So after building the device, the next step was to test it out to see if it really worked as well as we thought it would. We connected a car battery to it, and we just couldn't believe our eyes. The system was capturing the beautiful and powerful yellow solar rays, and because of the brilliant design my uncle had come up with, all of that energy was put immediately to use, providing a steady, robust supply of electricity, turning on the light. We hooked it up to a bunch of appliances, and Amy had the garage lit up to see if it holds. At the same time, the system was capturing the energy of the sun, supplying everything, without the help of any external power. And not only were all the lights on, but she was running the refrigerator and the television with no problem whatsoever. In truth, I almost couldn't believe how simple all of this was. Missing my family, I rushed home with the plans. I started building the device, following the steps, and using most of the stuff lying around in my yard and some stuff I found at a junkyard. After several hours, I built the device and tested it. It ran perfectly. For the rest of January, we used the system and consumed the same amount of electricity that we always did before. But rather than pay $190 for our energy bill like we did in the past, we were running on self-made energy. This power meant zero costs. I think we did pretty good. All it had taken me was several hours of my time and about $200 in initial costs. And my family was safe. I love the fact that I was teaching my daughters such a great lesson about not being fully dependent on the government or any corporations. And I felt so relieved to know that they would always grow up in a warm, safe, and comfortable home. Now that was about 2.5 years ago. And since then, my family and I saved more than I ever thought I would. And the system holds true both in the coldest winter months, when the temperature can get down into the negative teens, as well as in the hottest, muggiest days of summer when the temperature soars past 100. Plus, using the same principle to make a few of Jason's witty tweaks in angles and degrees, I managed to juice more power out of the array. Enough to never worry about being fully dependent on our failing national grid. Well, before long, my friends and family members were begging to know my secret. And when I showed them this simple system Jason and I created, a lot of them had a hard time believing something so small could be creating that much needed energy. But after I'd given them the simple building instructions, and they followed them and created their own power plant in several hours, they became believers fast. Because when the person who used this amazing concept was hooking it up to electrical appliances, the results were the same. An abundance of clean, easy energy that they could use to power almost anything inside their homes. Using electricity without second thinking. Running their televisions, their kitchen lights, their garage doors, pretty much anything they could think of. Soon my friends were telling their friends about my little miniature power plant. Until finally, the number of phone calls and emails from people asking me to share the blueprints for my home power plant became too overwhelming. Kate put her foot down and told me that I had to find a better way to share this one-of-a-kind energy system with the world. So I went to work writing out the blueprints, the materials list to show construction process in simple steps, and then DIY dish system was created. The DIY dish system is a step-by-step guide showing you exactly how to create your own home power plant today, cutting down up to 60% or even more on your electric bill in the next 30 days. As you already know, this system was designed specifically so that anyone with a hand can build it, even if you have difficulty plugging your charger into a cell phone. In fact, you'll be shocked by how few steps there actually are, and how short the list of materials you need to build this is. Inside this system, which I'll tell you how you can access in just a second, you'll see exactly what those steps are, along with a full materials list that will help you build the system from start to finish. Even though it wasn't cheap for me to conceive this system, I put a lot of time, money, and effort into it. I think it's extremely valuable. Plus, because the files are something you can download to your computer, tablet, or smartphone, you'll be able to follow them anywhere, even if you decide to build your system down in the garage or outside. You'll also be given clear guides and written instructions detailing exactly how to connect your system to any appliance. All of the materials you need to build this will almost cost $200 total, but like I mentioned, you can probably find about 90% of those materials for free in your garage or at a junkyard. Additionally, you're also going to be given a full list of tools, and you'll see exactly how to use each one to build the device so that you have an unlimited power supply inside your home. You will never have to pay such high bills to the greedy electric companies again. And on top of all that, the DIY dish system is virtually maintenance free. The system will constantly produce the much needed energy. So there's no fire, no burning, no dangerous gases being released, and no intense mechanical processes that can break down. Instead, you simply open up the array and enjoy clean, off-grid energy for the first time in your life. To date, hundreds of thousands of families have used this exact same principle to stop being 100% dependent on the national grid's reliability. So with all of that being said, I want you to pause and think about this for a second. How good will it feel to never have to take so much hard-earned cash out of your pocket and pay for overpriced electricity? to never have to go to your mailbox and feel a deep pang of anxiety when you see a monthly statement, that you're about to take $160 or more of your hard-earned money and send it off to a company that could care less about your family's safety. How happy are you going to be when you join the ranks of the many other freedom fighters who have already decided that they are fed up with being price gouged every time it gets hot or cold outside? What will you do with all that extra money? Will you put it towards your children's college education? Will you take your family out to a nice dinner once a month at that 5-star restaurant that your wife looks at whenever you drive by? Will you use it to help pay off your mortgage? In a few years from now, having this system in your home saves you at least $14,000, probably more. So I want you to think about what this kind of savings will mean for you. I mean, of course, there are other options out there besides this. You could try an off-the-shelf traditional solar system to power your home, but the price tag is a big concern. Can you really afford to pay the $15,000 or so it costs to have a system like this professionally installed? Or $800 for a DIY wind generator that requires a degree in engineering just to set up? And how much wind is directly hitting your home area throughout the year? Another alternative is to buy a generator. But remember, we already crunched the numbers on that. Even at $2.50 per gallon for gas, permanently run your home with a generator, it would cost you around $250 per month. If you really tried to use one as your main power source, you'd be looking to get a few months of usage out of it before it started breaking down. Why would you do that when you could get the DIY dish system today and take control as soon as tonight? This is my promise to you. If you use the step-by-step blueprints, the illustrated instructions, and the materials cheat sheet that I'm giving you, you will create an ultra-low maintenance, ultra-efficient power system that works just as well as your current power source for your appliances. And given all that, you're probably wondering, what do you need to do to get started? And what the investment cost will be for the full guide, the blueprints, the materials list, and everything else that's included. Well, first of all, let me just be clear about it. There is no concept like this available anywhere in the world. The DIY dish system is the result of considerable expertise in the energy field and the contributions of two brilliant engineers. And beyond all that technical innovations that have gone into making this simple and easy to use system, you also need to understand that this is about more than just energy. It's about keeping your family safe. The reason I am so passionate about getting the DIY dish system into your hands is that I never want you to go through what I went through. I want to give you the opportunity today to make sure that your home is filled with warmth and love, that you have the extra money in your pocket to give your family everything they need and want. From school clothes to vacations to special dinner at lavish restaurants you and your loved ones deserve. Saving hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars every year is a pretty big deal, especially when you can do it all without having to send who knows how many dollars to the same energy conglomerates who are getting rich off your family's financial struggles. Ultimately, this is about taking action today so that you never have to worry about high electric bills for as long as you live. Because once you've taken several hours to build this system, it won't matter if the grid collapses, electric prices surge, there's a natural gas shortage, or oil prices skyrocket. The dish principle will never get old, generating clean energy, and you will always be prepared in case of blackouts or sudden power outages for as long as you live. A lot of honest and deserving families have already made the investment in the DIY dish system, and the regular retail price is $149. In my opinion, that's an incredibly fair price, especially because you'll see the savings pile up over the years. But while I do think $149 is a complete bargain, I also know just how badly a lot of families are struggling just to stay afloat. I've been there too. I've held my shivering wife and daughters in my arms and felt weak and helpless. I felt like I had a gun to my head, like I was being forced to choose between going broke trying to pay my utilities or putting my family's safety at risk. That's why, for a limited time only, I'm going to cut the investment price for the DIY dish system by more than 75%. Instead of paying the normal retail price of $149, which is what many individuals have already gladly done, if you act today, you're going to get the entire DIY dish system for just $39. But if you want to take advantage of this rare discount, you must take action right now by clicking the big Buy Now button directly below this video. As soon as you click that button, you'll instantly go to a secure checkout page where you'll complete your order. It takes all of 5 seconds. And once you hit enter, you'll immediately get access to the system. You'll be able to view the complete guide, the blueprints, the illustrated instructions, and the materials list. And you can do it right from your computer, smartphone, or tablet. You'll also be able to download all of the files, and you can print out as many copies of the blueprints and materials lists as you'd like. On top of your instant access, I'm also going to make sure that building the system and running it is one of the easiest, simplest, and most pain-free experiences you ever have in your life. That's why, when you take advantage of this significant discounted investment price today, you're also going to get unlimited customer support for life. So while the chances that you'll need the support are slim, I want to make certain that if you do, I'm right there to help you. After you've completed your order, you'll be given my personal email address to answer any questions at all. And if there is even a split second where you feel confused or that you don't know what the next step is, or you just want to know if you can substitute one part for another, which a lot of times you can, simply send me an email and I will personally work with you to get your question answered. There is only one thing standing between you and your monthly savings on your electric bill, and that's the yellow button you see below right now. But if you're still feeling unsure about the DIY dish system, then there's one more thing you should hear about, and that's my 60-day, no questions asked, money-back guarantee. Here's how it works. Right now, you just need to say maybe to the DIY dish system. Click the yellow Buy Now button you see right now and claim your instant access to the guide, the blueprints, the materials lists, the unlimited lifetime support, and everything else that's included. You will be shocked by how easy and fun this is to build. And you will be amazed by just how quickly the DIY dish system cuts your electric bill. But if for any reason you're not blown away by the results, just send an email for an instant refund. Say you only saved $30 a month and you wanted to save more, or you just changed your mind. You'll get an instant refund with no questions asked. Right now, you have the chance to join all of us in the fight to take back our energy freedom. And you have a full 60 days money-back guarantee. But aren't you going to ask yourself why you didn't at least try the DIY dish system? You could get furious every time one of your kids or grandkids forgets to turn off the TV. Or end up fighting with your wife because one of you forgot to turn off the lights again. But why on earth would you make that decision? Especially when all you have to do is click the Buy Now button below right now. Do that, and you'll have full access to DIY dish system, the step-by-step guide, the illustrated blueprints, and the materials list. You won't have to send so much hard-earned money to Big Electric for as long as you live. You'll receive unlimited lifetime support, and you'll be covered by a full 100% money-back guarantee that's good for 60 days. I think your decision is pretty obvious, but I can't click that yellow button for you. So go ahead and invest in the DIY dish system right now. Join the hundreds of thousands of thrilled families who realize that there is a better, simpler, and cheaper way to power their homes. And I'll look forward to seeing you inside that members only area in a few moments from now. Thanks for watching. Still here? No worries. I know that sometimes it can be scary to take that first step, and you probably have a few questions. So, to help you feel fully confident in the investment you're about to make, let me take a minute or two to go ahead and answer some of the most common questions I get asked right now. How does the DIY dish system work? The device harnesses the power of the sun to generate clean green power all year round. It's a powerful parabolic solar array concept that can be used in every home. What's the maintenance like? There's little to no maintenance whatsoever. Maybe only dusting the panel off every now and then. Hard to build? Not at all. When Jason was helping me to come up with the designs, I was adamant that this would be incredibly simple to build. There's very little physical labor, So even the elderly or those with a bad back or other ailment should have no problem making it. As a result, there are just a small handful of materials required, and you should allow several hours total for construction. If you're still feeling nervous, remember that the instructions are clear as day. Simply follow them and you build it. It's really that straightforward. Plus, if you do get confused for even a second, don't forget to take advantage of our free lifetime support that's included. What's included again? Inside, you'll get my comprehensive guide showing you exactly how to build your own DIY dish system. I made this guide with an over-the-shoulder approach, so it's basically like I'm there in the room building it with you. You'll get the blueprints, full color step-by-step directions, and the full materials list. Plus, your investment today will come with unlimited lifetime support. This means you can email me anytime I have a question, and I'll promptly respond to you. Is there a guarantee? Yes. Once you place your order, you'll have a full 60 days to check out the guides, blueprints, and instructions. Just follow along, and once you start building your system, we'll be up and running in several hours. If at any point you are unsatisfied or change your mind about this, just send me an email and I will refund your entire investment, no questions asked. I'm ready. How do I get started? Simply click on the Buy Now button you see below. You'll then be taken to my 100% secure checkout page where you'll enter your order information.